So we were discussing about finite element method being an approximate solution. And when we talk of approximate solution, I mean essentially we are looking at deriving or some kind of a approximation to the solution, which is a function of space coordinates, space and time coordinates. So it is very helpful if we try to recollect our earlier experiences with function approximations, although you may not have referred to those as such, and also learn a little bit about the basic requirements of these function approximations, and also uh, associated, not really associated, but another related quantity related tool that will be useful for finite element analysis would be the evaluation of integral of functions that we approximate. So area under the curves, the quadrature, numerical quadrature or numerical integration, definite integrals as you know them in integration. So we will spend some time discussing the problem of polynomial interpolation, specifically polynomial interpolation. There can be several different interpolations, uh, and this will be followed with a brief discussion on how we evaluate definite integrals on computer, digital computer. So, how do we? What is meant by interpolation? What do you mean by interpolation? Anybody? Any ideas? What does this word convey to you? Interpolation?
Sir,
Yes?
But the point where it contracts two lines, or we can find the zeros of something.
sir,
Uh, that is root finding, Charu. Interpolation is different from root finding. I mean, you find zeros of a function. So that is when you find at which value of independent coordinates the function crosses the zero line, right? So that is
So can
called
we say so that we are approximating the solution, like reducing the errors between two required results?
yes. Okay, let's hear some others. Anyone else?
yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Ketan.
Can I answer? Sir, interpolation means if we have some function and we know its value at some x is equal to a and b. Let's say our
Mm-hmm.
function is f of x and we know its value from at x is equal to a and b. And if we want to know the value of function in between these 2 points, that is a and b,
Mm-hmm.
let's say we have some point c which is greater than a and less than b, and we want to calculate find the value of that function at this point. So we will do some approximation. We will assume that the curve between a and b is a linear, and we will just do the linear interpolation and we will find the value of that function.
Good. So that is what we call as linear interpolation. And I don't know, have you ever had any need to refer to logarithmic tables or trigonometric tables?
Yes, sir.
Have you
No,
used
sir.
those? No.
No, sir.
Okay, so you are from a different generation. I need to. Okay. Before scientific calculators were so very common, logarithms were very helpful in simplifying complex computations. So we had a table of logarithms and then anti-logarithms, and the same table also had the tabulated values of trigonometric functions and other transcendental functions, and you could just look up the value. So for example, if I want to find the value of sine pi by 8, I would just go and look up the table of values of sine function and find out the value. And obviously, when you talk of tabulation, then those values are only given at a certain points, fixed value of argument and the function value corresponding to that argument. What if you needed a value that lies in between the two tabulated points? So coordinate geometry to rescue, you just fit a straight line y minus y1 is equal to y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1 multiplied by x minus x1. That's the equation of straight line. Remember? Anybody remember this equation of straight line?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir, we do.
this is essentially first degree polynomial interpolation between 2 points given by data pairs x1 y1 and x2 y2. And once you have, 2 points, define a straight line uniquely. Right? You only need the coordinates of 2 points to define to find a unique equation of a straight line passing through those 2 points. And any value in between, for any value of x in between x1 and x2, you can just evaluate this straight line equation and find approximation. Now, it may seem very weird. Theoretically, it seems very weird that the function is sine, and sine function is anything but straight line, and we are approximating it by a straight line, right? So, does it seem little contradiction to you?
Yes, sir.
But if you look at any function, let's say sine function itself, let me just draw that function to you, for you. What does sine function look like? Okay, instead of drawing, let me just so this is your sine function, isn't it? Now, if you look at it, if I take small enough segment of this sine function, let's say this between this and this small portion can be approximated reasonably well by a straight line. Do you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
and that is, you can visualize this, and you can keep this image always in the back of your mind during this course. This realization is the essence of finite element method. No matter how complex the geometry, no matter how complex the variation, if we look at a small portion at a time, then that geometry and that variation can always be approximated to an arbitrary degree of accuracy. If I look a small enough segment, then a straight line is all that I need to get a working approximation of the value that I need for my engineering problem. So this is the basic essence. If I look at a small enough segment, small enough can be, in this case, can be as large as 0 to 1. 0 to 1, there is not much difference between straight line and this sine function, or for that matter, minus 1 to plus 1. I mean, straight line would be somewhere, uh, I mean, it will only deviate around the extremities, 1 and -1 in the neighborhood, right? You can try that. So, if I, so that is the bottom line. So, if you look at small enough portion of a segment, then no matter how complex the curve is, it can always be approximated by a lower degree polynomial. So I'm not just referring to a first degree polynomial or a straight line. I can actually be a little more ambitious. I can look at quadratic variation, I can look at cubic variation, but no matter, I mean, sine function is definitely not a polynomial, not just a first degree polynomial, it is not a polynomial, right? So if I try to approximate, I mean, if I try to look at it at a small enough portion, then this small portion can be approximated reasonably well by using a lower order polynomial. And we go for polynomial because we will see that uh, because of a very powerful theorem of polynomial approximation, Weierstrass theorem, that polynomials are infinite family. You can keep on increasing the degree of polynomial to any degree you want. And by extending the logic, what you have, I assume, you understand from vector spaces, you only need independent, linearly independent basis to represent any vector in n-dimensional space. If you have n number of linearly independent vectors, then any vector in a dimensional space can be represented. Theoretically, it is possible to represent it in terms of these linearly independent base vectors. The same thing holds for function spaces. Vectors are for I mean, finite dimensional space. If we extend the dimension to infinity, then we are looking at a continuous function space. So as long as I have an infinite basis, I mean independent infinite basis, linearly independent basis, then any function can be approximated to arbitrary precision by using uh, these basis functions as a linear combination, right? So more on that a little later. But that is the basic idea behind, and that is why we will spend some time in this study of our polynomial interpolation. So the basic idea is we are trying to read between the lines in polynomials. So we have a set of data values, data pairs, x1 and y is equal to a function, some function evaluated at x1, x2, f of x2 and so on, and xn minus 1 at f xn minus 1. Actually, I could have gone up to xn, I don't know. Why did I stop at xn minus 1? That's weird. So it's a problem of reading between the lines of a published table. The examples, familiar examples are trigonometric tables or logarithmic tables, and you can fit a straight line between two adjacent data pairs and evaluate at the desired point. So this is what Ketan mentioned. If I have two data points, let's say A and B, and if I want to evaluate it at somewhere in between, then I would fit a straight line between these two data pairs and evaluate x at according to this equation of polynomial equation, polynomial's linear interpolation. That is just equation of straight line between passing through 2 points that we know so well. Now samples can arise from Now these samples can arise directly from some measurement, or they can come from computing values of a function that we cannot handle, or we cannot, we don't know what the function is, and we get some values somewhere. Or if we can compute the function, then the computation of function itself is very, very expensive. The function is so complex that it is not possible to compute it very often. So it makes sense to kind of approximate the function so that it becomes easier to evaluate. And that is used for further computation. There are several such examples. For one typical example can be the optimization of the process of optimization, where you need to evaluate functions and their gradient values. Sometimes they are very, very difficult and very, very expensive to compute. Original function, the objective function, which needs to be minimized. So what is typically done is you have previous computations, and you can use that data to derive kind of simpler interpolation model, and which can be used for computation at a much lower cost. So the idea being interpolation is essentially information regeneration instead of information retrieval. This lookup table, what we have here, looking up a table of values, this is called information retrieval, right? But if I fit a function, find an approximation function which can describe this data, then I just need to specify that function, and I can regenerate this entire table can be replaced by a simple function, just one function. And whichever function value I need, I can evaluate that function and get the information. So that is information regeneration. I can encode information and then regenerate it as and when required, instead of retrieving information from a table of data uh, when required. So, as I said, it is convenient to use function evaluations, then to look up tabulated data. So now a matter of definition, evaluation within the range of independent variables of data tabulated data pairs is called interpolation. So if this is a tabulated data pairs x1 to xn minus 1, and let's say this is monotonically increasing, then if I use these function values, define a function, and then use that function to evaluate the function at values of x in between this range, in between this data range, then it is called interpolation problem. And if I use that function that I have derived from this by interpolating between these data points, if I use that function to evaluate it at point which lies outside this range, say let's say x less than x1 or x greater than xn minus 1, then that problem is called extrapolation. So evaluation outside the range of independent variable of the tabulated data pairs is called extrapolation. Now, there are 4 basic questions to answer for choosing the right strategy for this information encoding. How do I encode this information? What samples, that is, are we looking at only at the function values or their derivatives, or which derivative, first derivative, second derivative, or what? So what are the samples that are going to be used? How are we going to define the function that is to be approximated? Just the function values or its derivatives are to be regenerated. And then what class of functions are we going to approximate using polynomials or trigonometric functions or exponentials or what? What else? Right? So that will again define a different strategy. Then what criteria? How do I define? I mean, it's all approximation, isn't it? So if when I say approximation, then how do I define what is the criteria of adequacy? When I say that I have approximated the data points reasonably well, so do I look at exact matching or do I look at least squares like we do in regression analysis, or we have another matching criteria like using Chebyshev criteria, convergence criteria, and so on. And then finally, where do we apply this goodness criteria? Do we apply it uniformly over the entire domain, or do we apply it at a different points, or do we look at some other criteria or different subdomains, different criteria over different subdomains? I mean, everything is on the table, but as the saying goes, rules of the game need to be decided before playing the game. So all these decisions, all these questions need to be answered before you set about finding an approximation to the given problem. So little bit of definition. The values of independent variables xi for which the output value function f evaluated at xi is specified, and such data pair is used for construction of approximation function. These are referred to as the nodes of interpolation. Right? So in the first slide we had this data pair x1 f of x1, x2 f of x2, etc. So these are known as the nodes of interpolation. The interpolation, when we say interpolation,